Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode where I take a look at commercial games which were made in Godot or are being made in Godot. Today, I'm taking a look at Cassette Beasts Game Dev Journey. This is a creature collector game in the vein of Pokemon, and specifically the Game Boy version with the famous chibi art style. The adventure takes place in New World, a remote island inhabited by strange creatures. To find a way home, you'll need to explore every inch of the island and record monsters to your trusty 80s style cassette tapes to gain their abilities. Collect awesome monsters to use during turn-based battles in an open world. Use the fusion system to combine any two monster forms to create unique and powerful new ones. Bitten Studio are developing the game, and the two people who share most of the responsibilities are Tom Coxon, who's doing the coding and design, and Jay Bayless, who's in charge of art and writing. The developers have made no secret of the fact that they've been using Godot to develop it. They've found that Godot has many advantages and disadvantages over the alternatives, but one thing that they've really enjoyed using are the grid maps. Now, grid maps work sort of like three-dimensional versions of tile maps from 2D games. They're a great way to rapidly build up a map from a collection of meshes. They automatically batch draw calls for their meshes, and they make setting up the physics of tiles really easy. The only complaint the developers had about grid maps is the lack of auto tiling, but I've already seen people making add-ons and plugins to solve this issue. To go with their pixel art characters, the 3D model tiles are made in a voxel editor, and they are using Cubicle, which exports to Godot with no issues. Since they don't have auto tiling, they have to manually place tiles for use cases such as corners, transitions between tile themes such as grass and snow, and so on. Because they use lots of pixel art textures, getting the tiles to look right when they're next to each other is actually fairly straightforward. And it is this pixel art style that they're using which makes grid maps work out so well for them. Their overworld is split up into many chunks to keep things manageable, and another important reason for this is to keep the game's memory and CPU usage down. They've got a script which monitors the player's position on the overworld and is responsible for loading, instancing, and adding visible chunks to the scene. The script also works to a limited extent in the editor so that they can preview the chunks which they're working on in the context of the chunks surrounding them. Using Godot has helped them in two ways here. Writing engine plugins is pretty simple, and having access to the source code has allowed them to optimize the grid maps code for their use case. Their design plan is to wait to add details like puzzles, chests, and spawners until after they're happy with the shape of the grid map. Decorations like grass and trees are typically placed later on. Doing things in this order saves them from having to constantly reposition the decorations. Well, what do you think of Cassette Beasts and their use of the Godot engine? Please let me know in the comments. That's all for now. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you all again next time.